across the timing line now with 5.5 minutes plus 1 lap of this race. So Gian Daravala under real pressure from Guan Yu Zhu. Dan Ticktum under real pressure from Marcus Armstrong and Jury Vips as around the Daravala car goes Guan Yu Zhu on the outside, and there you can see both Armstrong and Jury Vips are side by side, and Guan Yu Zhu does get ahead of Gian Daravala. Whilst they're all fighting behind, that's great news for Dan Ticktum, who's able to escape up the road. Here comes Jury Vips on Marcus Armstrong once again. So he's going to have the inside line now. This should be easy for Jury Vips to move through into that P2 place. So sure enough, Jury Vips puts himself ahead of the Marcus Armstrong car, and the chase will be on now for Dan Ticktum, who's 9/10 up the road. Guan Yu Zhu is also fancying his chances as well, but here comes Marcus Armstrong fighting back against Jury Vips. Again, they're side by side through the turn number 2, the Grundig turn. Dan Ticktum, with 4.5 minutes plus 1 lap, trying to build as much of a comfort margin between himself and Jury Vips as he possibly can. Vips will try and chase him down. Ticktum, Vips, Armstrong, then it's Guan Yu Zhu ahead of Gian Daravala. Behind Daravala is Ralph Aron, and then it's Inem Ahmed and Robert Schwartzman. So around Dutzendijk and heading towards the start-finish straight once again. You can see how Jury Vips has now left Marcus Armstrong in his wake a bit, and the gap between himself and Daniel Ticktum is just 7/10. So Jury Vips would dearly love to make it 2 out of 2 in terms of race wins. As to the inside of Armstrong goes Guan Yu Zhu. Wasn't quite able to make it stick. 3.5 minutes of the race remaining. They're heading towards the Choleresses. As they run out off the Choleresse, off the tarmac, onto the concrete paved area. Mick Schumacher under some pressure from Ferdinand Habsburg. Schumacher has moved up to P9. There is Inem Ahmed. Ticktum leading from Vips then. Vips has narrowed the gap down to just 6/10 between P1 and P2. And here comes Guan Yu Zhu then for another go at Marcus Armstrong. It's a long way around the outside and doesn't want to leave himself vulnerable to Gian Daravala, who's right behind. Schumacher, Ahmed and Schwartzman are all involved in a battle as well. But for the moment, Armstrong really having to make that car as wide as possible to avoid Guan Yu Zhu coming past, which he's been able to do that so far. But here comes Gian Daravala as well to buy into it. Behind Daravala is Aron, and then Robert Schwartzman. And the gap is down to 6/10 between Dan Ticktum and Jury Vips, right at the front of the pack. Schumacher then trying to reel in Ahmed. And there, the number 8 car of Marcus Armstrong, Gian Daravala. Ralph Aron is in the mix, and so too Guan Yu Zhu. Schwartzman. There is Ahmed ahead of Mick Schumacher. Behind Schumacher, it's Habsburg and Petrov. And Dan Ticktum then, he's got 1 lap plus a minute and a half to maintain his position at the lead of this race. So Gian Daravala on Guan Yu Zhu. There's Julian Hanses in that remarkable livery. So it's Ticktum, Vips, Armstrong, Zhu, Daravala, Ralph Aron. The top 6 places. And again, going into the Grundig turn, just to the outside of Daravala goes Ralph Aron, trying to find a way past, but that isn't the way round there necessarily. So these P1 and P2 drivers, who are merely 5/10 apart, have really broken away from Marcus Armstrong, who is P3, and Ralph Aron, and there is Schumacher on Inem Ahmed. So just a couple of laps to be done in this race. Can Ticktum hold on to this lead from Jury Vips? Vips, of course, who has taken a win this weekend. And here comes, whichever way you look, there's overtakes going on as Ralph Aron and Gian Daravala continue to fight. Just 1 lap plus the remainder of this one to be done in this really shortened FIA Formula 3 European Championship race, punctuated by 3 safety cars off the tarmac onto the concrete. And there is the number 4 car of Schumacher. And here is P1 and P2. The gap down to just 3/10. So Schumacher has put himself ahead of Ahmed. Here comes Jury Vips then on the final lap to try and have a go at Daniel Ticktum. Which way is this going to go? Is it going to go Ticktum? Is it going to go Jury Vips? They're a country mile ahead of the rest of the pack. Jury Vips is all over the back of Daniel Ticktum, trying to find a way past through the Scholleresses. He's not close enough. He's going to have one more opportunity to have a go, and it's going to be into the Duitsendijk turn. Can Jury Vips find the pace? But it's all very well finding the pace. You've got to find a way past. He'll go to the outside, then try and get underneath the number 27 car in a drag race to the line. But I think Dan Ticktum has done enough to seal the victory. Jury Vips goes for it right on the line, but doesn't quite do it. Ticktum, Vips, Armstrong, Zhu, Daravala, Aaron, Schwartzman, Schumacher. So Schwartzman getting past Schumacher. Ahmed, Habsburg. No, of course, Schumacher got ahead of Ahmed. Great finish. And great finish right to the line. Jury Vips just trying to out-drag, but say by 5/100ths, that's all it was between the two of them as they headed towards the checkered flag. Almost a photo finish. Brilliant driving. And there, the relief, as much as anything, I should think, on the with regards to the teams. And there, down in Parc Fermé, the delight